Oh, okay.
Okay, and that's the case. Hi, everyone. Tom is having some audio issues. Welcome. We are Dragonmount. We're here to discuss episode 6 of Amazon Prime's Wheel of Time TV show.
And this is an exciting episode because now all of us who have seen the content beforehand are all caught up with everyone else. So we don't have any new information at all. And that means we can speculate a lot more without getting into trouble. So I'm excited about that. We just want to jump right into it.
Okay, there we go. Now they can hear me.
Okay, great.
Every time I turn on OBS, it like defaults to a microphone that I don't have. Like it defaults to a microphone that's not plugged in. I don't know. It defaults to like you know how you plug a microphone in the back of your computer in like the pink slot? Like it didn't, there's nothing plugged in there, but it says that it defaults to that every single time. It's crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's good times. Good morning, Susan. Susan says good morning.
Hello.
Doll?
Hello. So yeah, we're going to be talking about episode 6, and oh my god, there's so much to talk about.
Should we start at the beginning? The opening of Swan's childhood?
Swan, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was so that was really cool. I love the little nods to like the cursing that they threw in. The guy that they have playing her dad was really cool. I'm sad.
Oh my god, he was amazing.
So good.
I'm sad we're probably never going to see him again.
Probably not.
No, he lived a long and happy life.
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah. Totally what happened.
Yeah, sure. Because life is wonderful in Tyr when you have only one arm and you're poor and don't have a boat or house.
And everyone hates you because your daughter can channel.
Yeah.
Even though she was making your life easier. Like, how sweet was that?
Why didn't he go with her? Like, why couldn't he have gone with her? He could have walked her to the tower. He could have found a job as a stable hand, or even did she care? Like, there's folks there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in cases like that, why wouldn't the tower take the family, you know, like of the person? I don't know.
Do they?
No, they don't.
No.
I mean, the only other person we really dive into their family is Moiraine, but they're nobles.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Tam and Abel got turned away.
Hello, Alan. Alan Bird says hello.
Bad. Hello.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
I really like the shot of like the fingers of the dragon. Like, so you got to see, what is it? Is that a delta?
Yeah, I think it's a delta.
Sure. Okay.
Wow. Let me whip out that knowledge from a while back.
Listen, I lived on a barrier island in New York, and the most that we did on geomorphology was of like coastal things was barrier islands. That was it.
Mm.
Once we start getting into deltas and peninsulas and archipelagos, I'm out.
No, I loved it. Actually, this is weird, but like back in the day, it's how I remembered Moraine's name, because moraines are like left by glaciers.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, hi, I have a science background.
You're
Surprise.
a nerd.
Nice.
I'm a nerd.
You're a rock.
Yes, no, I like rocks.
Well, what does Sheldon say about geologists? They're not real scientists or something. I don't believe that, by the way. It's Sheldon Cooper, not me.
Dragonmount's going to get new types of hate mail now.
Yeah,
but anyway, so back to the show.
Back to Wheel of Time. Sorry, I need to drink the coffee.
I love seeing a new area, essentially.
Yeah. So we got to see the Stone of Tyr, right? That's kind of like loosely confirmed that bit of building in the background was the Stone of Tyr.
Yeah. So that'll be awesome. See that a little bit more up close a little bit later.
Yeah. Little allusion there to that. Yeah, I'm kind of sad that they didn't let the dad go, though. Susan also mentioned that. What did we think about the dad not going? Yeah, it's weird. Like, I really feel like in cases like Siuan specifically, the tower should be like, okay, you know, here's a stipend. You know, I feel like the tower could always use another something. You know, he's a fisherman.
Definitely.
I'm sure they can be like,
he could do something.
There's so many things he could do in Tarvalon. He could have come along.
I'm sure that
so I'm
the
just sad
tower.
why He didn't.
Yeah, the tower could just go to like one of the fishing boats and be like, "Hey, hire this person." Like, make
Well,
them.
not
Or
only
here,
that,
this
I'm
guy's
sure he
gonna
didn't
do
need
this.
the tower to intervene. I'm sure he looks like he's a skilled fisherman
Yeah.
with all they brought in, and given that he is lacking a hand, I'm sure he's very, very skilled.
Yeah.
He wouldn't need the White Tower's help. But I wonder if he didn't want to stunt her growth. Like if he went along, would she have
would worry.
become more dependent on him? I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, it was
Or
great.
maybe he had a terrible disease that he was going to die from soon anyway and didn't tell anyone.
Possible.
We could go that route too, and I can do that.
It's a sad
terrible.
morning to start off on. Sad morning to start off.
Right? No, but I loved his emotions. I loved his struggle. It was very captivating, and I do love I love the tattoos.
Yeah.
I love the cultural, obviously, because that's a cultural significance normally.
For Tyr, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Like, and I'm pretty sure they look very much like our real world, like Maori tattoos, like the Polynesian peoples, like the way they tattoo on their body. Like they were very angular, cut
And
like tattoos,
yeah,
and even the like the theme of the tattoos was very Maorian looking, like the way they decorate some of their like borders and stuff like that. Or at least that's what it reminded me of. I looked it up a bit, and like if you Google those tattoos, they look very similar.
Cool. Do we have any questions from the
so just some comments on Siuan. Alan said that he could watch, or I'm sorry, they said they could watch The Adventures of Siuan Sanche on her, just a whole season of her travels up the river to Tar Valon. Because that's a long ride.
Right, just the logistics of that. So she's going down the Tairen River, I don't remember what it's called, and then she's going out to the ocean and then up the one that goes through Tar Valon.
Yeah, I actually, the same river. I have my wife got me a carpet. I can't take my camera off to show you, but a carpet that is the map of the Wheel of Time. So I just looked behind me. Tyr is further than
I'm the nerd.
I'm a giant nerd. The Tyr is actually further than the two rivers from Tar Valon. So like, or Tar Valon, and like it took them 2 months or something like that to get there. So yeah,
because you have to go around Ilion, right?
Yeah, she had to go around Ilion. She had to go like. She's just a kid. She had to get into some shenanigans. Yeah. Especially with her, her attitude. Yeah, that's pretty far. That's pretty far. Sorry, I was just looking at the thing again. So someone asked what was the story about her tattoos. What's the theory about her tattoos?
So we talked about it a little bit on the podcast. Rajiv had mentioned that those kinds of tattoos tell stories. So they're personal triumphs. And the connection we made was Maui from Moana. How he's got all the tattoos over his body. Yes, again, that. So I would like to look at those in more detail to see if that's what they are. Things in her life that were important.
Yeah. I mean, well, she's got a fish very prominently displayed on the center of her chest, it looks like. So I definitely think that it's probably something to do with her past. It'd be, and Moiraine does mention that she's gotten some new ones while they're together later in the episode. So she's still adding to them. So that says that she's still connected with her Tairen roots, and she still cares about that stuff. So that's interesting. Siuan looks like she's about 12 or 23. No, well, I mean, the young Siuan was probably between like 8 and 12, I would say. Sophie looks like she's probably, I mean, like they do, you know what? I will say they cast the right actors for ageless looks, because like they're not doing the whole ageless thing because like that would be ridiculous and like way too much money for CG, and also let these people look how they look. But they cast the right actors for like, is she like 30 or is she 40 or is she 25? Like I can't tell.
This is definitely something I wanted to touch on because I've seen a lot of people complain about, they don't look ageless. I'm like, okay, do you want a bunch of completely frozen Botox? I am not downing Botox. You do you. But like, it's if you think the logistics of ageless, are you expecting them to look 21? Like with absolutely, like if we're going, like you've seen people who've had too much work done in their face.
Yeah.
They don't move. Or some people don't move their face, so they don't get wrinkles. That's fine. Like it is, that's your decision. That's great. If that's what makes you happy, fantastic. But if that's what you're looking for a group of women who are in power, and that's what is bothering you, is that their faces do show a little bit of aging, but there's still, to me, like you're saying, there is a quality of agelessness, and it's, we don't know their ages. I mean, we know their ages. What Moiraine is, what, like
50 something, I think 60.
No, she's
is
only
she
like 45-ish.
Well, she was
for real.
What I think they have her age confirmed when she was accepted. I think she was like 16 or 17, maybe.
Okay,
20.
so then,
and then
so
it's been
super
20
young.
years, so it's been so she's
super
somewhere between 40 and 50. And same thing
bad
with
example,
Siuan.
but like there's some others that are older that still,
Much older.
I mean,
Yeah, like Baron, who's got a touch of gray in her hair, so we know she's old.
Yeah, Cat Swain.
Cat Swain, all gray.
And then also, like when you were on the road and traveling, and you get dirt on your face, it's going to show every little thing. Like
the sun.
It's still like. Sorry, I've just seen a lot of comments. They don't look ageless. I'm like, no, you're just mad that they're. Well, I'm just assuming you're upset that like they have a couple little touches of reality.
I honestly think that people that are upset about stuff like that are just nitpicking. Like the Aes Sedai, I think I can tell how old these women are. That ruins the Wheel of Time for you. Like that ruins the Wheel of Time. Like seriously, come on.
I'm just curious if they're looking for more of if we're going to use like just a Hollywood look of absolute, like I'm trying to think of who's a good, was it like Jane Fonda? Isn't she getting to be 80? And the amount of work she's done, whoever she's got is fantastic.
Yeah, that's true.
But like, I don't know if these people have imagined Aes Sedai like that. And for our world and our real time, you can only do that with
CG.
Fillers, injectables, or CG.
But I doubt they're going to be like, hey, every woman we cast as an Aes Sedai, get.
They wouldn't do that.
Yeah, but they would do CG and then they would look fake.
Yeah,
they would look weird.
Yeah,
they would
and
look
they would
like
have to.
When
that's budget.
Too heavy of a beauty filter on when they take photos, and you're just like,
yeah, and that's budget too, though. That's a lot of budget, like to heavily CG all of these people's faces, like for every episode.
Like their foreheads and the like here. I don't know. It was very interesting comments that I've been seeing. So I'm like, wait. So what? I just wonder what their baseline of ageless is. If they're just basing it off of what they have. Like the visual in their head, if you actually think about like, oh, would I respect a woman who only looks 23?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, but that's still a weird, to me, ageless has always been like how they are looking. Like I am very much appreciating the show.
Yes, I agree.
So quick, easy answer to a question is Alan asked if Tyr was a coastal country, and I pulled up a map on our faces right now, so we're covered up.
Nice.
But yes, Tyr right here on Randland is a country that is on the ocean. It is next to the Fingers of the Dragon, which is what you guys mentioned earlier, is the delta that forms down here at the bottom. But yes, they are an ocean-faring people. And then let's see what else we got. We got a bunch of stuff coming in, so let's go over that real quick.
Cool.
We got the tattoos covered. Tyr is a ocean fair. They are on the ocean. Maybe they have a sea folk influence in their tattoos. Maybe it would be interesting to see that. It would definitely be interesting to see that. Writer producer of the Indian. All right, so this person says, hi, Dragonmount. This is a writer-producer of the Indian promotion for Wheel of Time. I absolutely love you guys. My question is, why would Siuan sound somewhat power-hungry with some of the dialogue? Well, first of all, hello.
Hi.
And why would she sound power-hungry with some of the
I think she's
dialogue?
got a certain reputation she has to maintain. She is the most powerful person in the whole entire planet that they know of. Yes. So I think not necessarily power-hungry, but maintaining that status, especially in the Hall of the Tower. when Moiraine is defiant. And she's got to be like, yo, that's not okay. Get down on your knees because I am in charge here.
She's also got a character that she has to play for her public persona, like not just to the people, but to the Aes Sedai that are there. And not only like I'm the Amyrlin, like this is I have to embody this. I need to embody this persona because it's not me. And I have to hide the true me from the Aes Sedai because the true me is in love with Moiraine, and we have the secret quest that we're on to find the dragon, and like all of the stuff that she's hiding is so her public facing self is very diametrically different from her private self for a lot of reasons. That would be my
also put
opinion.
in the fact, yes, but also put in the fact of Logain mentioned it. Like, I'm not going to say the tower is weaker channeling wise, but in the books, there are a lot less Aes Sedai than there were in the past. Their numbers have dwindled a lot. And she can't slip even a hair because the sharks are circling.
Yeah. Still on the Amyrlin, the color of her ring. So I don't think the color of her ring was gold, right? Like it just was lacking a jewel.
The gem.
Yeah, it was lacking the jewel. So I think that's the signification of her seat is the removal of that jewel. It would be cool if she had a different ring though, or even maybe what's a gemstone that is like different colors, like
opal.
Opal. That's
but that's still like a white background, so I don't know if that'd give too much precedence to.
That's true. That's true.
But if we think, are the accepted going to get a ring like they did in the books? Because then if the accepted have a ring with no gem, it's going to look much like the Amyrlin.
That's true.
So the Amyrlin would have to have something to set them apart, or they just aren't giving them to accepted.
Yeah, I honestly
we haven't seen accepted yet, right?
I don't know.
Well,
no,
we've seen like Tower Guard
and Novice.
And novices.
Yeah. I don't like. I never understood why they gave them rings in the books. To be honest, like all you're really doing is giving them a way to impersonate the Aes Sedai. Like there's so many other things that you could do. Yeah, exactly. For book purposes, they could have just given them a stole with all of the colors of the Aes Sedai on it, or a shawl, or a shawl,
also dub. Yeah. They already have the bands on the bottom of the dresses.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they have the bands. That's different enough.
Right.
They don't need the ring. Like all that's doing is giving them the ability to impersonate an Aes Sedai. Literally all it does.
I would have. Well, like, let's not joke. Like, there's no.
I totally believe it, Kitty. 100%.
I'm just reading some of the text. So Max says that the best line in the episode was on your knees, but Moiraine saying on your knees.
I
like both of them, and just the juxtaposition of them was fantastic.
It's a little early for big words like that.
Loved it. And since we're there, let's bring up the fact of how Robert Jordan wrote female relationships like that, because he did, but he wasn't obvious, and he would use the term pillow friends. Like it is actually in the books. And it's interesting because he's still, even with the normal hetero relationships, it's still fade to black. Like it's as subtle in, I don't even want to use the term prudish way because we know he's not, but I think it's just a part of the times. But yeah, so there were female relationships based in the tower, and they were called pillow friends. It is in the books.
I don't like the thing I didn't like particularly. Like I always, when reading the books, especially when they mention that Siuan and Moiraine were pillow friends, like I always imagine them being together, and I didn't like how they just were like, oh nope, they're gonna go out, they're gonna be with men now. Like it was like, oh, they were only together because that was situationally, and then they stopped. Like it felt
proximity.
Yeah, just because of proximity. Like it felt disingenuous, I guess.
Right. Well, it cheapens their relationship, like that emotional bond. Like, oh, we're just gonna have sex because we're both in the same place at the same time. Like that's not. I mean, I'm not saying that's not a bad thing. Like
no, but like
it's great.
Like you said, you do you. But no, they had a really intimate bond, and they grew up together in the tower. One of high blood, one of low blood, and it didn't matter because they found that common ground. Exactly. And then they have this whole journey together of discovering the secret of the dragon and exploring it. And
would Moiraine and Siuan be together if they if they weren't in the room when the prophecy went off? Like,
I think
what?
so.
Yeah, like, I mean, that forced them to be like, yeah, someone said that they were glad it's not just a phase, like while they were in the tower.
Right. No.
Oh my
it's
God. Yeah.
totally-
Like, yet again, let's go back to the baseline of this was written by a self-proclaimed, I'm assuming, straight older
Yes.
white man in the South of America.
Which isn't
Wait,
a bad, like,
that sounds weird.
No,
The
I
American
want to
South.
I want to.
American-
I just want to say something real quick because someone got miffed last week when I said that. We're not saying that that's a
Not
bad
bad.
thing to be a
No.
straight white man who's older. What we're saying is you're not a member of the demographic that you're writing about, and sometimes you may not know enough to write that demographic and do it justice.
Mhm.
And that is what we're saying right now.
Yeah, no.
Before anyone else gets
love
all
them.
bent out of shape.
No, I can't write the point of view of a small Asian boy living in China,
What?
as far as I know.
I always
And if you
thought
tried, you wouldn't. You would try your best, I'm sure, but there's still some things you're not going to be able to get correct.
exactly. And that's all that we're saying there. And he tried, and he was very progressive for the time that these books came out, because you would never even remotely see like same-sex stuff at all in fantasy then, or a female-centric or matriarchal society in fantasy. In the early
But he
80s and
still
early
was
90s.
pegged in that position of being back in those times, and he still, and yeah, I might get flack for this, but he still kind of kept females in a separate box, because you don't see male on male relationships. He wouldn't even do that. But like, we've seen his office, we've seen his aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's kind of putting women on a pedestal, but still in a box.
Yeah.
Instead of just putting them with the rest of the population.
Yeah.
Right.
And that, yet again, is part of the times. And I have heard from people that have been close to him that they do believe he would have changed with the times. He would have gone
definitely.
forward. His
Exactly, yeah.
viewpoint would have evolved and
Mhm.
progressed.
And
And
who
that
knows?
fact I love.
Who knows what he wrote? And publishers were like, "Hey, you have to cut that or change it, or
That's
whatever."
possible.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he
God, can you
probably
imagine
also
how
wrote.
long it was originally?
Oh god.
But I do want to point out that Brandon Sanderson did add in gay characters, so there is representation of male and male relationship.
Yes.
And I'm glad that at least did get in there eventually.
Yeah.
Yes.
The so Aman, who is the person that writes for the Indian publication that they mentioned before, they said it's also worth considering. I'm paraphrasing, but it's also worth considering that Jordan just may not been a very good romance writer, which is
That's true.
Yes.
Romance is very
Pretty
different
true.
from fantasy.
yeah,
Very.
and comedy and drama and horror and like to get and you know what
He did
doesn't.
battle scenes.
Mhm.
And a lot of like his romance stuff is always like shuffled off to like in canon the character saying, "But I'm not good at that." And like, I'll let Brand deal with the women, or I'll let Matt do it, I'll let Perrin do it, or even the women being like, "Oh man, I don't know how to talk to men," and like he always shuffled it off in like a comedical way, but didn't really write it. So it's that's
Also
that's
fair.
good.
Yep.
Even in book one, where we see that first big scene with Landon and Nynaeve, where I should have known you'd be a king. I'm not a king, Nynaeve, only a man. And all that.
It's so
And
cheesy, but
I love it.
Yeah.
I
Did
love
you
it.
see
I
me
love
throw
it
up a
too.
little?
Out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
it's
which is
over the
why,
top, and it's not.
and that's
Like,
why I
it's so
love what they're doing with
dramatic.
Land.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it is. That's why I love it.
it's
They're
a lot more
making him a
subtle.
person. Like, why
Yes.
would this woman fall in love with this man who literally never speaks or displays
Like, I would
emotion
rather
ever?
have a shiny rock than Bookland.
Exactly. Like, he's cool. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, as a tropic,
No.
like a tropic, like of his character, like big,
Yeah, he's a great
silence-
D&D character.
Yes, he is a D&D paladin or fighter or even maybe a barbarian kind of.
Guardian.
Yeah, guardian, whatever you want to throw at him. But like he's a character. Like, he's not a person. And they really made the characters more like people in the show, which is something that I like.
Mhm.
So back to the questions real quick. So Pat Stone said, do we think that Leandrin and Elida are combined in the show? And
That's an interesting
Possible.
one.
it's
It's too early to
possible.
tell.
But honestly, I think, and I don't want to steal this from you guys, but I thought it as well when I was watching it. Uh, so you guys had mentioned in the podcast, which isn't out yet, or it is out.
Yeah, it went 10 o'clock this morning.
Okay, it went 10 o'clock this morning. That I forgot which one of you mentioned it, but that I think it might have been Rajiv. Okay, yeah, that he thinks that it's not actually Elida and Leandrin that are being combined together, but it's Alviarin and Leandrin that are being put together.
Ooh.
And that is also what I thought. Like that was exactly what I thought too, because Alviarin's character doesn't really need to be a separate character. Like it could easily, because Leandrin's arc after she like leaves and does the couple of things that she does with the Sanche is just fluff after that.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't do much. And Alviarin's arc is very important, but it doesn't need to be Alviarin. So it could easily combine those two
and
characters.
hers doesn't start at the beginning.
Yeah.
So okay, I like this.
Yeah, me too. And Elida could easily be doing her damn job in Camelin, and that's just why we haven't seen her yet. She's not important yet. She'll be. I think she's going to be a season 2 character, or possibly even the end of season 1. Like we'll see her come on screen maybe and start, taking up making a little bit of a heyday there. Like
Well, it's going to have to end on a cliffhanger. We all know season 2 is happening, and that's another interesting thing that I was talking about with my significant other, is how seasons aren't guaranteed. So they still have to write these seasons to have an ending, but then also potential cliffhanger. So it's with the changes, because obviously, so this episode for me had the biggest deviation from the books.
Yes.
For me personally. And it was really interesting because it's obviously at the very end when they're at the Waygate. My personal thing, I know it's dumb, and then they're like going to go through the Waygate and they let the horses go. They're like, they can't travel through the ways. Like, Bella went through the ways. I fight you.
Yeah. So I was like, no, he's going to be so mad.
So mad. Boycott the show. No, don't boycott the show. But okay, I get it. It's also, I can't imagine trying to film with horses with that weird lighting.
Yeah.
So, so but yet again, we have to realize with the end of every season, there has to be an ending. Like because somebody mentioned about how the boar isn't at the eye of the world. Well, but it kind of does make sense to actually bring in the eye of the world, because that's the name of the first book, and that's the whole premise of the first book.
And this is always what I tell people. This is the information they have. It doesn't mean it's correct.
Right. And that's what I was going to say too. Yeah.
Like unreliable narrator is literally it's a tool of the trade here. So, just because, whatchamacall, they are saying that the eye of the world is where the dark one is. And so you have to remember also that everyone believes up in at this point that Balsamon is the dark one. Right. In the books, everyone is under the assumption that the person that is visiting Rand in their dreams with the eyes and the mouth is the dark one. I mean, his name is Balsamon, which is like the father of lies, right? And they call him the father of lies in the show, which is what they call Balsamon, which is another name for the dark one. And I know Balsamon is the name that the Trollocs give to the dark one. So, but Ishmael co-opted the name probably during the Trolloc Wars. So we are the show is operating under that same assumption that is the dark one. So maybe maybe instead of getting Agenor and Balthamol at the Eye of the World, we're going to get Balsamon at the Eye of the World. And it technically,
which would make sense
to all of the information that everyone has, that is the dark one, because everyone thinks that is the dark one in the books. Yeah. So
the thing that jumped out at me was Siuan saying, well, the past couple of months I've been having these dreams.
Yep.
And the only people we see having dreams about this are the dark friends.
Yep.
Or people who are being, manipulated by Ishmael. So he wants them to go there. He wants them to think the dark one's weak. He wants them to think that they can one. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. I definitely, so Susan also said that they conflated the Eye of the World with the boar also on her first read. I think this is going to be a way to show that the Aes Sedai are fallible a little bit here. Like they got it wrong. Like, or, you know, they interpreted this prophecy wrong. Like they can say whatever they want if they believe it's true. So it doesn't have to necessarily be true. Like Siuan thinks what she's saying is true. Therefore, she can say it and we are believing it. Like that it's the unreliable narrator is a tool of the trade for storytellers. Like that's what's happening right here. So I think, at least that's what I think.
Yeah, I agree.
So someone asked if we think that the if the banner and the horn and everything are going to be there like they are in the books.
I hope the horn comes into play.
Yeah,
because they already brought Brigitte in as a doll.
Yes.
Yeah. They mentioned her, so like who, like, you know, if I was a viewer of the show and never read the books, or if the books didn't exist and we're just watching the show, why would a little girl have a doll of someone named Brigitte? Like, who is this person? Like, if a girl has this
I would
doll,
not have had that much thought into it.
No, me neither. It was
but like, she named a doll.
I mean, like, usually in shows like this, when they name stuff, it's important.
Yeah.
So
you didn't grow up as a little girl.
Yeah.
No, that's true. She could have just named her doll. I didn't think about it like that. She could have just been like, I like this name. I'm going to name it Brigitte. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Whatchamacall. But yeah, no, I mean, I guess, yeah, like as a viewer that makes perfect sense though. So maybe as a viewer, you know, people are just writing that off as nothing. Maybe that's just a nod and that's the only Brigitte we're going to get.
I'm sure we'll get more, but I think
not.
that was for our benefit. Not the non-viewers. They're not going to care. But we were like, oh my gosh, it's Brigitte. Wow. She's got golden hair and it's in a braid.
The no mention of the Green Man yet.
Yeah, and that's too bad. So Meshta? Is that
Meshta? Meshta.
Yeah, so that'd be sad. He's not there.
But they also could make. Well, I mean, so last time it was, for whatever reason, you know, and again, this is only talked about in the first book. So I really think this is one of those things. Susan said, I named all of my dolls Susan.
Yeah, see, it's just
whatchamacall. So wait, was that little Brigitte? Is that what you're saying, Susan? No, I'm sorry. Whatchamacall. The fact that Moiraine had seen the Green Man already once and had traveled to him for whatever reason, for some quest that she needed to do at some point. I feel like that is one of those things that was just in book one when he was writing book one, and he didn't really flesh that out completely.
Yeah.
So then
I feel like I agree.
Them cutting out the fact that she had went to the Eye of that anyone goes to the Eye of the World for any reason other than bringing the dragon there as part of the prophecy is a much better thing to do. Like now in the prophecy, it's the dragon has to go to the Eye of the World and battle the Dark One. Maybe they're just translating, or maybe the person who gave that prophecy will find out at some point that they said the dragon has to be at the Eye of the World to battle Baalzamon. And they're translating Baalzamon to the Dark One, and that's just an incorrect fact that they have. So I think that Someshta is going to be there, and I think the rest of the Eye of the World is going to be, if not the same, very similar to what we got in the books. I don't know about the pool of Sidene and all that, but maybe.
Well, it's interesting. That image of Egwene coming up out of the water with color, we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
Right. True. I'm assuming that's the Eye of the World, where Moiraine's going to make them all dunk in it and see what happens.
That was definitely, that pool was the pool in the caves in the Two Rivers. I'm 99% sure that that was the cave in the Two Rivers. I thought
she's gonna have like a dream or something where she goes back,
or a prophecy dream where she comes out of the water coated in the things, or that was just something that they filmed for promotion.
No, that's possible.
Yeah, I mean, because they did do a lot of that. They did film and take a lot of pictures of things for promotional purposes. So
I remember my first read through for the books, and I had no idea what the hell was going on. Like, it's just like the great story was great, but then at the end, I didn't quite understand. 'Cause to me, like the Green Man was suddenly just like another random fantasy stereotype thrown in.
Yeah.
And didn't really have any and then still dies.
Yeah.
In
immediately.
What, 20 pages? Like not even like, so then what was there a point? It's not like they got a seed from him that they had to carry far away to plant. Like, so I could well, don't get me wrong, I love the Green Man. I love Green Man mythology outside of Wheel of Time, but it's I could see it not being an important thing because where he goes later on. Is he mentioned later on?
We see him in the flashbacks when Rand goes through the Teleran, or
that's what it is. But it's
Ruidian.
I don't.
Before he got his scar.
He's a dynamic character.
It's after because he doesn't remember the Aiel he's talking to. He's like, "Did we used to sing together?" And he's like, "Yeah," but that was back before you took that.
Oh, right. Okay. All right.
Like, it's a dynamic character, but just super quick. And I wouldn't be mad if he's not in it.
It could easily be an ancient Aes Sedai who is maintaining the ward that's, protecting the eye of the world or some such nonsense.
Well, it might not even be a place that travels. Like, it might just be like a place there. Like, let's go to it because it's there.
That's what I mean. So that and it's warded to be protected from the blight. So like, literally they're still alive and they're protecting the blight. It would take a lot for an Aes Sedai to reach 3,000 years. I know, again, book canon, but book canon wise, that even without the oaths, they only reach to about 1,000. Like the oldest Aes Sedai were like in the 900 area, like during the Age of Legends.
Olivia with the Sanche, how old was she? Was she less than 1,000?
Yeah. She's like 200 and something or 300. No. She's older than Cadsuane.
Yeah, she is.
And Cadsuane is 300. So I think she's 400 and something. Someone correct us, and I'll give you a shout out later.
Yeah, yell at us.
But one thing I did want to mention about the Green Man in the books is that he does confirm Perrin as Wolf Brother, and he calls Rand a child of the dragon.
Yep.
So it does leave us some clues to follow for later on. Yeah. But again, that's not super important.
But the same as like Elliot.
He also calls. Sorry, I just want to in that same scene that she was mentioning. He calls Loyal little brother. Little brother. Which was I really liked. I don't know why, but it was cool. It makes me because they never talk about how because we do understand. Again, book canon. They made the Green Men. Green Men were creations. They were constructs. They were not living creatures that they discovered or something like that. So did they use Ogier to make them, or were Ogier involved in the making of them?
I don't know. Was it Agenor? Was he the one responsible?
He was a molecular biologist. Sorry, my mouth didn't want to say that. He was a molecular biologist. So, and he did a lot of experiments on plants, and specifically, it calls out for the reason why he turned to the Shadow was that he was tired of working on plants and he wanted to work on people. So
ethics committee.
The Jinn were kind of plants. So can we assume that he was the one that created them, or had a hand in it?
We can definitely assume that there's a high chance.
Yeah, had a hand in it for sure. If he was one of the world's foremost ones, I feel like he would have a hand in that, unless they had already existed by the time he was born. Because the Age of Legends had been going on for some time. It wasn't like just recently started. Let's go back over here. The Eye of the World is in the Blight, so it could be close to Shao Ghul. Very, very probable, but I don't think the Dark One will be making an appearance in season.
Correct.
2. All right. We'll get to the ways in a minute. I just want to check to see if there's any other questions on Shao Ghul or what we're talking about right now. And then we can go to that. The most powerful Aes Sedai who ever lived were between 800 and 900 years old, as per the Watt Encyclopedia. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll go to the next question we got was the ways. What do we think about the question is from Hunter Fox, what is going on with needing an Aes Sedai to open the ways? i.e. needing to channel to open the ways.
The thing I was thinking is that Tar Valon did it that way, so random people couldn't wander into it. Like the Aes Sedai are like, hey, here's this device that anybody can open if they pluck this leaf. Let's take that away, and now only Aes Sedai can open it. Where the other waygates might not necessarily be that way.
Yep,
that's true.
Yep, like maybe they make different waygates at different places. Like this is the Aes Sedai's waygate, so we'll make it so you need to channel to open it. Maybe. It completely depends on the lore behind their creation within the show, because, and I talked about this when we first saw the picture of the Waygates when they first released the poster back in at Comic-Con. I think they released that image of yeah, it was at Comic-Con, because that was, they had the release date on it too. Again, book canon, not show canon, and perfectly fine if they change it. This is all we have to operate on right now. So, book canon, men created the ways, men who can channel, specifically created the ways while they were hiding and steading, so that they didn't go crazy from the one power, to be able to travel from steading to steading. So all the Waygates are just outside of steading, because you can't channel while you're in a steading. So they made them in such a way that anyone could use them. So what that means is a couple of things. If you need to channel to use the Waygates, it's interesting that you can use Saidar to do it, because if men created them, then there would be that. But maybe men and women created them, because like the women, maybe like the female Aes Sedai maybe didn't kill the men who were hiding and who weren't crazy and were hiding in the steading, because hey, maybe we can avoid you going crazy, or maybe we can experiment on you to figure out what the hell's going on, because I'm sure they didn't know what happened immediately, and maybe we could fix it. So I'm sure they could have worked with them. So that's a way around there needing to be Saidar to do that.
Well, I think I recall in the books they grew the ways with the talisman of growing. Avienda finds that terangrial a little bit later.
Yeah.
So maybe the men created the space and then created a way to access it.
The men made that terangrial and gave it to the Ogier so that they can make new Waygates if they want to. Yeah. But they created that terangrial, the ways, and the Waygates themselves.
Correct. Yes.
So that's interesting.
Yeah. So once they grow the Waygate, the Ogier are in charge of that. So it shouldn't have anything to do with channeling. It should be.
Yes, but there was also
completely run without them.
There was no reference to a steading nearby to this one. So I mean, we know that there is a steading. We know that, again, book canon, we know that there is a steading near to Tarvalon Tarvalon in the books. Don't know if there is one in the show, but we'll see. The other thing was the inside of the ways looked very different than what we know.
Let's first go to let's give the nod that they did do the nod to the leaf. If you watch Moiraine's channeling, it is three. And I do love that at least they are acknowledging.
So Sid mentioned that perhaps Ogier can use one of their songs to access the ways also.
I like that idea.
I like that bit of headcanon. That's a good reason. But what that raises the question is too, then, how were the Trollocs getting to the Two Rivers? In the books, we know they were using the ways. If you need to channel to open the Waygates, or an Ogier to open the Waygates, then either an Ogier or a channeler was helping the Trollocs get to the ways, which goes right along with who else was in the area during that time. Moiraine could channel, but moments before Moiraine enters the Two Rivers, she's standing a few hundred feet away from Liandrin and her cohort. So we know Liandrin and her group of Reds that were gentling a man on the spot who can channel were nearby also. So that means that she could have went by and done that as well.
The woods are full of channelers.
Padden Fane was arriving at that time as well. So and we know, again, book canon, we know Padden Fane is a dark friend at mostly in the beginning of the books. So maybe they were in contact. Maybe, Liandrin accompanied them and helped open the Waygates.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's just going to be Ishamael. I think he's just taking a more direct hand. Like, all right, I'm going to go and open this for you. I don't know, but then is it true? Sorry, this just came back to me. Can Shadowspawn not pass through a traveling Waygate?
Yes, like a Waygate.
So he would have to put them through the ways. Like, okay, here, I'll open this for you. You guys go. But then he'd have to walk through with them and open it on the other end.
Yeah.
And that seems like something he wouldn't want to waste time doing.
Shadowspawn can't pass through traveling portals.
Yeah.
not way gates. They can go through way gates like regular.
Right. So he can't travel in there. He can't open it and be like, okay, go into the two rivers. So he would have to open up a way gate, send them through, walk through it with them, and then open the other door.
Yes.
Or he could travel and go to the other side.
Oh, that's true.
He already has.
And open it and just leave it open.
Okay, that makes sense.
Tie off the weave to open it and leave it open.
Or maybe they're making, and I know it's not at all, but potentially maybe the Fades have a hint of power of some sort.
Yeah, they can feel women channeling, right? They tingle.
And they could feel channeling men and women.
Channeling men and women. Okay.
In the books again.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a possibility.
They said Olivia, by the way, was 410-ish. So
Really?
Yeah, because Catswain was only like 320 or something like that, which is old.
No, we guessed 4 to 5.
Yeah.
So crazy. Can you imagine? Like, legitimately, can you imagine? Like, we were still in horse carriage, 100 years ago? Like, the amount of change that would come about your lifetime?
Yeah. I mean, like, they're only on the cusp of, like, the iron, like, at the end of the Iron Age at this point of history and the land history. So the 400 years prior to that would have really kind of sucked, to be perfectly honest. Oh man, that would have been terrible. So what else we got? Maybe Steve is the Green Man. Thanks, Eugene.
Yes.
Maybe.
Oh my God.
You know what? Legitimate. That actually could be true because Rafe was like, I'm just going to call it, like, I really loved seeing this person on camera, and he referred to them as Steve. So that's legitimately, I know it was a joke, but entirely possible. Now that I think about it.
Before we get to the logistics of the ways, I want to talk about, just from a filming standpoint, the lighting. The fact that when they are looking from within the ways and they're looking out at the actors that are coming in, and their faces are like in full shadow with the light behind them, but the camera is facing the light, but you can still see the features. Like, I don't know if any of you guys out there have ever tried to even like set up a tripod and try to get anything, but like that, I was like, that was mind blowing, that it showed the darkness without, there's like no reflection. Like, it's the amount of darkness they got with still a full on backlit right behind them. Like, that was absolutely brilliantly done. So kudos to that film crew.
I always was wondering how they were going to do it because, well, specifically inside the ways, because on one hand, it's incredibly simple to film like book accurate ways. It's just nothing. And then like the area where the light is touching. So it's a very small area, while at the same time being incredibly difficult to be able to display the emotion that invokes, like the sheer terror that everyone feels while they're in the ways. That would be really difficult to do. Yeah. I always pictured there was a horror movie. Oh man, I'm not going to remember the name right now, where they go into like the person's mind. Sinister, I think it was. I don't remember.
I just went to being John Malkovich, which is not it.
That's not it, but that's fantastic. Just crawl. I could now. John Malkovich is Ma Chen Shin in my brain. Thank you. That's the end of that.
You're
welcome. Where it was like when they were walking around, everything was just dark, and then they would wander into areas, and there was people standing around, and that's just what popped in my head. But someone thinks that they could have conflated.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a new word. That's terrible. No one should use.
I like it.
They conflated the way gates with the portal stones. Also possible. I hope not, because, well, I mean, I guess the portal stones they're not really that important. Like, they use them later, but they can do other stuff in order to instantly travel. Like that, the only thing that they do. No, you know what? See, and this is another clever writing trick. If you think about it in the terms of as the author trying to, do something, he's able to have all this crap happen in the background over the course of, what was it, like 2.5 months that it ended up taking in real time when they instantly traveled from that one portal stone to Falme or Falme or however you want to say it. Accidentally 2 months passed, like 2.5 months passed. And he did that in a page. He did that in a paragraph. So like, that's a really cheap trick to do. Like, I could see him literally inventing portal stones on the spot for that purpose. Like, I need time to pass really quickly.
It's like the classic soap opera drama of like, oh, I've just woken up from a coma.
It's been a month.
Or it's my
It's been
twin
a
brother
year.
with amnesia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in a
Perfect.
coma. That's so I could see them taking the portal stones and putting them together, making them more important to the story, integral to the story in other aspects other than just to bring people from one place to another and then add a little bit of exposition. Because given the stuff that we do get from the portal stones is really cool, the idea of the portal stones, as we got a lot of backstory to them, was really cool because they existed prior to the Age of Legends. The people in the Age of Legends didn't even know what they were for. They were an age before the Age of Legends. The Forsaken say that. So that's it. They have a really cool backstory that he invented for them. But nuts and bolts, like what purpose do they serve? Very little, like to the story. So it's something that they could change with affecting very little story. Is my hard story that they need. Maybe Waygate stuff.
Hi everyone, we're Dragonmount and we are
right.
discussing.
We didn't mention who we are. Make sure to follow us and like stuff. I'm bad at that.
Yeah, we're on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram's our main. I don't know, snail mail, whatever.
Yeah, however you want to.
No, I'm not gonna give you my address. That's weird.
No, just mail things randomly to just dragonmount.com. See if it works. Episode 5. So Cara Lee Alford said episode 5 was Blood Calls Blood, which is the prophecy from the Great Hunt. What that talked about when which was the name of the chapter in the Great Hunt when we found the prophecy talking about Lanfear walking again. So could be a hint to Lanfear. What will happen to Loyal and Gaul's hero moment in the attack when they get to seal the Waygate? Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. It would be really. That was a really fun moment.
Right. That was. Yeah, I think so many of these moments we just love are going to have to be cut just for time's sake. There's no way they can show everything.
Yeah.
We also don't know what they're going to be allowed to show because we don't know how long the show's going to go.
That's a good point too.
Let's see.
Right, Kitty, I see a cat. Can you show us your kitty?
Oh, there's a kitty.
Come here. Come say hi to the people.
Oh my
he's
goodness.
a mama's boy. This is Dandelion. This was
Dandelion, so precious.
the love of my life. My husband knows the hierarchy.
Oh, it's a shy kitty.
He's a shoulder cat. Like he's like a toddler. I carry him like this all day, every day.
Gosh, really?
Everyone is flickering in chat right now. They're all flickering.
No, and that would be amazing to see, just because those were so awesome, just the potential. And then always the I win again, lose Tairen.
Yeah.
Just because at that point, Rand is still, I'm not the dragon, I'm not the dragon, I'm not the dragon. And it's like, yes, you are.
Oh, shit.
And here's 1,000 lifetimes showing you are. Yeah. But I don't know the logistics of that, if they can do it.
Yeah. So Stuart mentioned that if the Tarvalon Waygate could be open without channeling, then the forces of dark would just go directly and attack the tower in force. So in the books, we do know that Trollocs and Myrddril won't enter the ways. Like, they refuse. And I'm pretty sure, and someone could correct me if I'm wrong, that they only started doing it later because the Forsaken were finally back out again. And like the Trollocs and the Myrddril fear the Forsaken. And we know that they operate off of fear. So like, the Forsaken were enough to force the Trollocs and the Myrddril into the ways. I believe Ishmael talks about having done it as well, but we know that in the books, he's on like a cycle of being able to influence things and then not being able to influence things. So
there was another interesting, I saw, oh, sorry, if there's
no.
Comment.
Go ahead.
I did read a comment about how Loyal was not, he didn't seem scared to go into the ways and was not like, this is a bad idea. Like he's in the books.
He was super excited.
So it's an interesting, So that's an interesting, smaller change.
Yeah. There was an image too that was released in the promotional stuff that's been floating around of Lan, Moiraine, and Loyal looking at a map. Which didn't happen in that episode, could happen in the next one, but they are already in the ways. So they were in like a well-lit room.
Yeah.
So that's not going to be in the ways, I would assume. It could be them in Shinar, maybe looking at a map on how to get into the Blight or where the Eye of the World might be. But like an old map of Malkir or something like that. Mm-hmm. That's gonna. Oh man, that all right. Pin on that. Pin on Malkir real quick. But anyway, yeah, no, I think the ways are going to be a little bit more mysterious in this one. Like less people are going to have traveled them, so like we're going to discover the ways at the same time as the characters are going to discover the ways. Like there are probably other Ogier or people who have traveled them more, but the characters that we're focusing on probably haven't, so that when they learn about them, we learn about them at the same time. So it's less the characters sitting in front of a class teaching us about things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Someone said the horses have to take the nays, by the way, instead of the ways. Sid, you're on a 10-minute timeout. Just for that.
So we talked.
That was awesome. I like it.
Briefly. We talked about this briefly before, just how different it looks. Like in the Waygates in the book, there's just nothing. It's just flat surfaces, and sometimes there's railings, and that's it. And that would be really boring to look at if they're going to spend the whole episode. So I like that it looks creepy, and there's jagged rocks, and there's darkness, and flashes of lightning, and there's more visually to look at. So
well, they mention on how the ways used to be covered in grass and trees, and so maybe they're, instead of making it so that once that's gone, they're just these flat, craggy surfaces, that they're more natural looking but dead surfaces. You know, like I could get behind it if they're like that. The only question that I have is, why was there flashes of light that looked like lightning? But that could have been a result of Moiraine's weave that she was doing. So like maybe,
or they're just going to use it for a lighting effect, just because again, filming in pitch black to show that there's stuff around.
It's just that we know that if there's any set, like one of the big things about the waves was how quiet they were, not just about how dark they were, and if there's any sound in the ways, you're dead. You're dead. Hunter, we have not spoken about Matt yet, but I think that we'll get there. Yeah, that'll be our next topic, since he is, that's the next thing that happens after the waves.
That's a big thing.
And I was really hoping that they would stay with the that theme of the waves being like muted almost on how quiet they were. So like having flashes of light and lightning and stuff like that would take away from that. And that's just a personal thing for me. But yeah, I can see them doing that, because if they're going to make these sets, they want you to see them. So
exactly.
Just shrouding them in darkness and never showing them to you would be annoying. I could see that.
Well, I wonder if they're going to show that it is still going to be, like they said in the books, like it's like islands connected instead of just like one flat surface, essentially. Because they talked about potentially spiraling up, spiraling down,
and on top
not
of
being able
to
see. And on top of each other.
And then we have no idea.
And then the actual ground being almost like crumbling because it's falling apart.
So Connie Cooper said, I remember the ways being corrupted, but it's been years since I read the books. And I wanted to call her out because her picture is of a black cat that looks exactly like my cat Luther, who is staring at me from the doorway right now.
Hi, cat friends.
Yes, so the ways were corrupted. They were corrupted because they were created, I believe, canonically entirely out of with Sidene. Like I'm pretty sure they say that, but it would make sense that maybe even the women would have helped them too. But anyway, they were created with Sidene, so Machin Shin was again a result of the corruption of Sidene growing out of the ways. I believe like a while later too. Like it took time for the ways to become corrupted.
Yeah, people went in and started disappearing, or they came out shells of themselves, because we saw an Ogier who had been touched, by Machin Shin, and then Baron touches him and he's like, there's nobody here. Like he's got a body, but there's nothing inside.
Yeah, so Machin Shin steals the souls of the people that it touches. Yeah.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that creepy sing your screams, hear your screams kind of voice.
Yeah, gnashing, tearing, burning, biting, bleed, blood in there. It's just like all crazy nonsense. Sweet. And then it touches Pat and Fane and runs away screaming. So That's fantastic.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I want to see that scene, especially because we know Pat and Fane is following them. So how does he follow them into the ways now? If you need channeling to get in, does somebody channel and let him in?
Or does he follow Matt?
Yeah, or is he following the dagger? Does Moiraine and Orlan have the dagger on their person? Does Matt have the dagger on his person? Like, did Matt keep the dagger and is running? Like,
we don't know what happened to it. All we saw was the cloak being thrown on it.
Yeah. So I guess that's a good segue into Matt. So Matt, personally, yeah. So personally, I think Matt was left behind because this is probably when Barney Harris stopped being part of the show.
Yeah, I think Jason confirmed that unofficially, that's what Barney Harris just never returned after they stopped filming for quarantine.
From COVID, from that mid season quarantine where they had to stop filming.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was I think that's probably the reason. Obviously, they're going to have to put something in the story for that to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think it's confirmed we don't see Donald Flynn until season 2.
Correct.
So I don't think, just from completely speaking from like a filming purpose, like outside of the show, like Matt's gone. Like, we're not going to have, like, we might have reference of, like, for the rest of season 1. Like, we're not going to get Matt in episode 7 or episode 8. So story wise, how are they going to handle that? They're going to mention Matt, but I don't think we're going to see an adventure of Matt running to the Blight with the dagger, being chased by Pat and Fane. Would be interesting.
It's so interesting seeing how real life affects this, because this is obviously probably not the way they wanted it to go either, but it's run by humans and we are squishy and fallible.
Yeah. Hunter asked if Barney is okay. Officially, and I mean, none of us here know the reasoning for him leaving the show. I hope it's nothing to do with his health, because it did happen after COVID or a family member or whatever. We wish him the best of luck and hope everything's okay, and really hope Donald Flynn can fill the shoes, because Barney was doing a great job. So
yeah, he did great.
I'm interested in seeing how well he does, because Barney, like I said, Barney was doing great with the different Matts that we got so far. We got the scoundrel small town Matt, we got Matt getting a taste of the outside world, and then we got corrupted dying Matt, which was great. So he was doing pretty good.
Yeah,
it's interesting. We're going to see how they deal with it. Are they going to do the classic Hollywood pretend nothing changed?
I'm sure.
Which I'm sure they are, but I don't know if they're going to mention something about, we don't know. I'm going to assume so. It's going to be nothing changed, act like it's the same.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yes.
I hope they make like a small comment, like, "Oh, Matt, it's been so long we've seen you. You look entirely different." Just just a stupid comment. Like,
that's silly, but it takes you out of the story. Like,
if
we want this to be seamless, we need to just pretend like it never happened. Like,
that's true.
Let's just move on.
I'm thinking about when they did it in Iron Man 2, when Don Cheadle replaced the original guy. Wow, what's his name? His name is in my head. Anyway, when Don Cheadle replaced the other actor, and he was just like, "It's me. I'm here now. Get over it." And that was it. And like, he was like, "Oh, hey, I didn't know you were coming." And then and Don Cheadle's character says that, and then that was the end of it. But yeah, no, you're right. It does take out from the immersion. So.
But it could also be because the boys always,
mess with each other. They do mess with each other.
They do. So, it could be something like, "Oh, God,
cleaned up. Maybe he shaved."
Yeah.
So
you look like crap.
Yeah.
Like what happened to you or something? Like, yeah. What
how
would
do you look
do
so
when
good
you were
after
gone?
a month?
They could use this as a way to bring Tom back in. When we find them later on, Matt shows back up with Tom, because we know Tom's character was taking a liking more to, or like a father-son kinship, or even like a mentor kinship to Matt, more so than he did to Ren in the book. So they could use this opportunity for that.
Yeah, maybe Tom's
even
not dead.
Yeah,
so,
well, book-wise, we know Tom's not dead. And
so
I believe
he would probably try to make his way back to Tarvalon for healing if he was injured from the Murdral.
Or Matt goes back to that house to check, like, it is another, because we know he was having such a hard time dealing with, did I kill those people? Maybe he goes back there to just as for some form of closure, just because he's, you know, depressed or whatever, and finds Tom like still clinging to life in that house, or being nursed back to health by somebody in the village.
okay.
Or
God, we're
whatever.
gonna start rumors, aren't we?
Probably.
Maybe.
So
It was interesting realizing that the reality of why Matt didn't go with them is because something happened in real life that couldn't be changed. And that's, to me, and that was obviously the biggest deviation. But when you understand the reasoning, it's
you have to
what
just
can you do?
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. You have to just give them.
Gotta roll.
Yeah, you have to just be like, okay, you know, and just deal with whatever comes, and try not to really. I don't want to say like give them too much crap about it, but like, you know, it's not like the showrunners decided something, you know, and did this. It was, you know, happenstance and bad luck that resulted in them having to do this change. So we'll see what they make of it. You know, it's going to take some writing chops to make a big change like this make sense.
Angling.
So, unfortunately, when I was making my predictions for the next episode, I didn't realize Barney Harris was just not on set for the last 2 episodes. So I was really convinced Rand was going to finally channel that the Waygate's closing and Matt's being left behind.
Oh, and he was going to bring him in.
And Moiraine is like, you need to watch Matt. And so he's like, I need to watch Matt, like, channel, open up the Waygate and grab him. But I guess that's not going to happen. So that makes me kind of sad.
I don't know why, but that just sounded very Sailor Moon to me. Channel, open up the Waygate. Sorry. Anyway.
He is the one named the dragon. All right. Sorry.
Yeah, I love it. I was gonna do that too.
The whatchamacall, we did, so at the end of that scene when they actually like right before it cuts to black, there's like a view of out in the distance in the ways looking at the Waygate, and you see someone step back through
Egwene's going forward towards it.
Yeah, she actually disappears in between the 2 pillars, and then that's when it cuts to black. So maybe Egwene stays back too, and she steps through the Waygate, and whatever happens to Matt is happening to Egwene too, and that's how we get them back together again.
I mean, he's not going to go far. There's no horses.
That's how Bella makes it back. No, Mandarb and Aldib know the way back to the tower, and Bella survives. That's I'm telling that to myself until we get.
Oh yeah, no, all the horses go back. They just go back to the White Tower. And
they do. Yeah, they know.
Oh, here's some random horses. Okay.
Bella's got power.
Yeah.
She knows things.
Definitely.
So let's see. What else? Do we have any other questions coming in? Nope. Everyone's just sad about Barney.
Yeah. I wonder if we'll ever find out the truth. And even if we do find out the truth, it's not going to make it better.
Right. Yeah.
It's either a sad thing or a bad thing.
Yeah. It's personal. Like whatever it is, it's obviously personal, or they wouldn't have announced it. So it's none of our business. I mean, it doesn't change anything about the show. So whatever. Yeah. I hope he's okay and his family's okay.
Yep. We wish him the best.
Yeah. That's it. What else?
So can we move on to Moiraine and Siuan? We haven't really talked much about.
We haven't talked about
Terangrials, their meeting, their dynamics.
Yeah. All right, so on their
wedding.
Oh my God.
The wedding?
You didn't take the oath rod as a wedding?
A wedding?
They did their vows to each other.
Yeah.
Honor and or like obey and whatever. I mean, those were not my vows because we all know who I am, but. To me, I took it as a very intimate bond to each other. As I'm just gonna say the word wedding because to me that was the closest
ceremonial
marriage
thing.
I definitely got those vibes. I definitely got those vibes
because she didn't say to the Amerlin. She said to Siuan.
See, that's what I was gonna mention. So honestly, like yes, I got those vibes too, but I 100% like Moiraine isn't stupid and Siuan isn't stupid. Moiraine said that because I think Moiraine said that because she realizes if she said Amerlin seat, it would be all Amerlin seats. So like if something happens to Siuan and someone else becomes the Amerlin, maybe someone who doesn't like Moiraine, then that's bad. But as long as, I mean, again, still, if something happens to Siuan, like if she dies right now, like if she died immediately after saying that, Moiraine would never be able to come back to Tar Valon because Siuan, unless another person named Siuan Sanche would come and fulfill, and maybe somehow that would fulfill the oath. But
I wonder, like, if you die and your oath is to that person who dies, do you get released? Because that's not something that we've really dealt with.
I don't know.
Your oath is on the oath rod, not no.
But
no.
But if the other
released from
person
it.
of the oath rod, does that release your bound to them?
No.
Well, if you
Oh.
swear fealty,
In my
somebody,
opinion, no.
they die. Do you still owe that person your
Yes.
allegiance?
Yes, because the promise didn't break. Like that, it's not like the other person is superfluous in the swearing of whatever you swear on the oath rod. The content outside of what you're saying is superfluous. It only matters what you say and what you feel and what you think on the oath rod. So she said Siuan Sanche. Maybe it's only that person because that's who she was talking about, or maybe it's just Siuan Sanche if she can make that make sense in her head. But it's not tied to the person. Like it's not tied to Siuan Sanche the person. It's the same thing.
But
like
she also channeled into it. I'm wondering if it's just because this is not a normal oath rod vow, I'm guessing.
Well, I mean, only in the fact that people don't usually swear fealty on the oath rod to a single person. But then
with the oath rod, is it usually with two channelers, or is it just the one who's doing the oaths? Because this was two channelers.
It could be either or, like we see in the books. It is a terangrial that requires a weave of spirit to activate. Mm-hmm. So that's just to activate it. The use of it is different. So like when I'm pretty sure that when an Aes Sedai swears their oaths, they are probably the one that does it. But there are instances when the Black Aja forced non-Black Aja Aes Sedai to swear oaths on it, and then those Black Aja people have died. So and they weren't broken of their oaths. And when the Black Aja are swearing oaths on it, they die. So like and other Black Aja their oaths aren't broken. So I don't think that the person channeling into it is important to the oath.
Okay,
It is.
I definitely agree with that.
Part of it.
Mm-hmm. It's just the power that goes inside that powers it, and the words are more important than who's touching it or who's
exactly. And Moiraine purposefully changed the wording when she swore the oath to make it to Siuan herself and not to the position of the Emerald Seat.
Mm-hmm. So we can agree that it was a double.
Yeah.
It was definitely still an official. So she knows the towers. She doesn't know the towers can break, but she knows there's going to be changing in power and how she couldn't do the oath to the Emerald because who knows who's it's going to be next. But it was also a very intimate moment between two women who love each other, who have spent a lifetime together, but also apart because of circumstances.
Yeah. And both of them almost like were on the, I think Moiraine actually did cry, but Siuan was on the brink. Like they were, she was about to start crying. And that's extra bad for Siuan in this point because she has to hate Moiraine. Like they have a personal relationship, like thing going on in the eyes of all the other Aes Sedai that they hate each other. So that she has to maintain that while at the same time, I mean, she could construe it that she's just sad that, she has to kick one of her children out of the tower because she's the Amaryllis, but I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
But like the light finger touches under the oath rod, like that was.
I know.
Yeah.
So
I want to just point out one thing. So Frank B mentioned that this is an oath rod and not a binder, and that they're two different things. They're not. The oath rod is a binding rod or a binder rod. They are the same thing. Specifically, either Samael or Demandred mentioned that these children Aes Sedai use a binder to swear their oaths.
No, they bind them like they're criminals.
They bind themselves like criminals. That's what he says. So the binder rod, which is for people who don't read this far into the Wheel of Time, which is what the oath rod is. So the creation of Terangrial has been lost since the Age of Legends, which is 3,000 years before the books and the show. They made this thing basically for criminals during the Age of Legends to swear that either, they won't commit the crime again or that they'll, obey the law, whatever they would make them swear on it. The Aes Sedai of the books, only a few hundred years prior to the book setting started swearing the three oaths when Arthur Hawkwing laid siege to the towers, when they invented the three oaths, which is only a few hundred years before the books. So they found this thing, and they must have known its purpose, that someone can swear on it and then they're unable to break the oaths. They just didn't know its original purpose, so they started using it for their three oaths. But the oath rod and the binder are the same thing. What else do we have? Someone asked a good question, and I wanted to mention it. So, how will this Moiraine and Siuan wedding affect the Tom and Gareth romances later? They're not going to be in existence because Siuan and Moiraine are lesbians, and they are, or I mean, they could be bi and make them later. But I think that they're going to be a true same-sex couple for the duration of the show.
Yeah, I think they're going to get rid of those relationships as well.
And if you made it the same in the books, it would make for a much more interesting story between the two of them, because Moiraine disappears, especially for Siuan's character, because so much happens to Siuan's character in the books. Now, if you juxtapose these two storylines into the books, Siuan, spoilers for book
everything
4 and on, by the way, sorry. Siuan gets deposed as the Amyrlin and stilled. And then Moiraine is killed, supposedly. So now the love of her life is dead, who she shared this great secret with and all this stuff with. She is no longer the Amyrlin seat and no longer an Aes Sedai and no longer can channel. That's a lot to happen to a person. So that would be a much more interesting, I mean, it's terrible, but it would be a much more interesting storyline to watch on the show than it would be of the other way. And honestly, I always just felt, and I mentioned this earlier, for those who are just joining now, we did speak on the Moiraine Siuan relationship earlier and how much we like it. I always felt that this the fact that they made it like, you know, they were just together sexually or romantically because they were, you know, near each other and grew up is you know, in the accepted, disingenuous to that type of relationship, where it was just like, oh, as soon as a man came along, they were perfectly fine switching back to men. And, you know, they never even mentioned their relationship ever again, even at the end of the series when they're reunited again. So it felt disingenuous to that type of relationship. And I like it better that they're not. Like,
well, then the other thing, I was just saying, at the end with Tom, like, to me, my first read through, it was incredibly forced. To me, it was like the stereotypical, oh, everyone has to be partnered and be happy at the end, and let's make everyone pregnant. Let's have a stereotypical 1950s that actually never happened in the 1950s. To me, it seemed incredibly forced with Tom.
Well, even with Gareth Bryn, like, that was the only reason he joined with the Saladar Aes Sedai, was because he was following Siuan because her eyes were intense. And it's like, come on, like,
stalker vibes,
right? Like, that's not good motivation.
No. And like, don't get me wrong, I like a lot of the scenes with Gareth and Siuan. Like, there's a lot of good comedy.
They're so cute together.
But they can have the same comedy without having to be romantically involved. Like, they can have that same exact, like, the exact same scenes can happen where Siuan is just kind of forced to go and, like, take care of Gareth.
Do his laundry.
Do his laundry and stuff, because she's so weak in the power when she gets, you know, put back. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, and even Tom, we've seen that he cares for people he shouldn't necessarily care about. He wanted to bury that Aiel, and he had no connection.
So
connection. I don't see a problem with him wanting to go rescue Moiraine from the Tower of Genji without a romantic tie.
Without needing to be a romantic tie.
Exactly. Right. Yes.
Yeah, you can be a decent person without having to be romantically involved.
Like, oh no, I'm just going to go rescue her so I can have sex.
Which is why which just goes
into my penis.
Yeah. Which just goes into why I love the relationship between Rand, Mat, and Perrin so much. Like, and how much they're showing, like, they're not romantically involved, but they love each other as friends, like, and as male friends. They, like, Matt tells Perrin he loves him. Like, it's fantastic. Like, I just, so like, much more healthy.
Tom, I can tell you, I love you and I appreciate you in my life. We do not need to go meet up in the middle of the country and have secret sex.
Exactly. I mean,
unless
you
do
tell me
to.
that.
Let's
I mean,
chat.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But the, I like
Maureen, I love you too.
I love all of you. I love
all of you.
Kathy especially, because she puts up with my nonsense. Kathy is our producer / She edited for a while.
She does everything.
She's everything.
Yeah,
She was if anyone watched our stuff, she was at the live red carpet stuff over in London with Jason.
So, and she got to do a couple interviews this week.
Oh yeah,
Yes, she did.
Actor
Those
Doyle
were
and
the
the
posters,
actor who plays Maxim.
Yes.
And I think Jason did them too. I'm not quite sure, but anyway, Kathy's just
Jason-
amazing.
Taylor
was there.
Napier and Hamed Anamishon.
Thank you. Yes, I didn't remember their names.
It's drilled in my brain because I was
Mhm.
practicing how to say Anamishon.
Oh, because you were. Did you get to do that too?
That's
Tom?
right.
No, I was not. I was
Really?
not present. I was not there for that.
That's too bad.
I had a visiting family.
I was supposed to, and this is going to be too much information, but as a teacher, I was able to get a substitute for that period so I could sneak away. And then my sub coverage fell through. Like it just, that's the
Real
worst.
life. See, real life affects everything.
Yes.
I know. So it's like, oh, I didn't get to do it. But
There was something I did want to touch on about the Siuan and Moiraine relationship. And it's something that I know, I don't know if it's just, to me, I've been in same-sex relationships. I've been in hetero relationships because I am not picky. And one thing that really was beautifully done is they're showing Moiraine getting ready to go meet her, and she takes her ring off.
Mhm.
She doesn't even take her ring off when she's bathing.
mhm.
And this to me is such a symbolic of I'm leaving this persona behind.
Mhm.
I'm coming as just my true, raw, vulnerable self. And it was, to me, like everything was washed and clean. There was no prepping, and just the removal of the ring was such a huge thing for me.
Yeah. She
Because
left
she
behind.
does not take it off.
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
She left behind Aes Sedai.
Yes,
Yes.
she left her Aes Sedai behind. And
I mean,
that
she
is
just-
such a vulnerable moment.
She doesn't even bring up the fact that she found the Dragon Reborn till after.
Right, till after.
Till after they.
Which-
Exactly.
Prioritize
Uh-huh.
it.
Exactly.
Which brings up that it is not, this is a true heartfelt bond that
Yes.
it's like Siuan said to Nynaeve and Egwene, like, you don't have choice over your life anymore.
Mhm.
And they are dealing with the cards they were given, or whatever the
Yeah.
wheel threaded for them, however we want
Yeah.
to say it.
So,
Hello?
so I want to just point out also, because someone said, just because Sid also mentioned, just because Moiraine and Siuan are into each other doesn't mean that they're not also into men. I'm not
Also
saying
true. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely true.
yeah.
Like they could be bi, which is 100% true. What I'm saying I didn't like about it was the fact that they just kind of dropped their relationship, if they had one, prior to like when they found Gareth and Tom. Like there isn't a mention of it ever again. Like it was just like, oh, now that I found Gareth and Tom, I don't even like have these feelings anymore toward, each other. There isn't a reunion, an on-screen reunion between the two of them that depicts that relationship. So like, yeah, they could absolutely be bi or pan or poly or whatever
The
they
way
want to be.
I
but
feel like Jordan wrote it is unfortunately like the stereotype of like, oh, girls go to school and they all make out and they're like tee
Yeah,
hee hee,
yeah.
because girl love is cute, but lesbians aren't cute.
yeah.
Like it is still coming from a specific mindset that he's trying to go through, but that's the way I read it. The first time I read it, it's like, okay, I
read it
didn't
every time
take
I
it.
read it.
Yeah, but I also don't read it as a gratuitous lesbian sex scene,
No.
because he doesn't write it at all either. It's
Mhm.
just, so like at least it's not that side of the line.
Yeah.
But it's still, it isn't exactly, it's not written out, it's not fleshed out.
No.
It's
It's
glossed
about
over.
representation here, and that's the reason why I think it's just they're going to keep the relationship between the two of them. Like we don't have an on-screen and this is a great on-screen couple. Like I can't like the two of them together.
talk about
is
a
fantastic.
power couple.
I know, right? Awesome. I love it.
In more ways than one. 'Cause the power is a thing. Okay, I'll stop. I'm terrible.
So one more thing about Moiraine getting ready to go see Siuan. Rosamund Pike, just her face glows and she's like giddy, and it just, just the anticipation she feels, like, oh my gosh, I get to see Siuan. It was just so well done.
Yeah.
So just that
Yeah, and it shows
significant
their
others being
background.
reunited.
Like she is full
So
on
nice.
like Victorian nightgown.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
And Siuan's just got like a freaking wrap. Like that's just their upbringings and how they're comfortable.
So I want to mention Lan also in the scene because Lan
masking the bond.
Yeah, he was like, "You masked the bond. I know what this means." That means you're gonna go bone. Whatchamacall, but he knows about the relationship, so like that's big. That's a big deal because it seems like no one knows. Yeah. So the fact that he knows means at the very least, you know, obviously him and Moiraine knows he knows, so that's obvious. But whatchamacall, does Siuan know that Lan also knows? Because
good point.
Because when she goes in there, she doesn't say Lan senses love. Like she doesn't like. You know.
I'm sure Siuan knows Lan senses love.
Yes.
Yeah.
But does she know that Lan knows? So if she knows that Lan knows, not only does Moiraine trust Lan that much, Siuan trusts Lan that much for him to know.
I would assume.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say in the books, Siuan also has a warder. Thomas, I believe, is his name also with no.
Anvar.
Anvar sounds familiar, but there's
Thomas is
Baron. 2,700 named characters in the Wheel.
I mean, the only mention of him is that he dies when she gets stilled, like that.
Yeah.
But does she have a word on the show? I don't know. But like it would have to go the other way too, because you know her warder would suddenly probably. Which this is going to get into the next topic that I want to talk about, which is the ter'angreal that they use to go visit each other. If that ter'angreal goes into the world of dreams, she's going to like disappear in the way they sense each other, because that's what happens when they go in the world of dreams. If it's somewhere else on the planet, she's going to suddenly shift to another place on the planet. So her warder be like, what the F is going on? So either she masks her bond with her warder and doesn't trust him enough to tell him what's going on, or I guess it's still probably going to be a he also knows, because you know they haven't alluded to the fact that women could be warders yet. I mean, they could just throw that in also, like, you know, make it so that it isn't so weird when.
Yeah, I think they will make it so it isn't so weird.
Yeah, Brigitte
Day
is makes a warder, but yeah. But that's an interesting little bit there. Like at the very least, Lan knows, and that shows like we know Moiraine trusts Lan, but it's so much different. That's so bigger. It's so much more personal for that relationship between the two of them.
I will be right back.
Sure. We're losing a kitty. So
is it Auric?
Ulrich or Auric?
Ulrich, maybe.
Ulrich? Okay.
Something like that.
No one has said it yet in chat. Someone working in my brain. Let us know and I'll give you a shout out.
But yeah, I really think Siuan trusts Lan just as much as Moiraine does. He's the uncrowned king of Malkier. Like he's honor bound. He's fighting the shadow with everything he's got. I mean, he's the natural choice for an alliance with Moiraine and Siuan. Their missions could not be more aligned if they tried.
Exactly. Let's see what else. No, we're just talking about the same shit we're talking about. So, I want to mention the ter'angreal. So, what the hell is that? But all right, so I'll say we'll see what Kitty thinks when she comes back. But for you, I'll say what I think. I want to see what you think.
Okay.
Personally, my thought is that this is a ter'angreal that acts like the stasis boxes in that they talk about in Ulrich, by the way. Thank you, Alina. That they use in the book. So the stasis boxes were little pockets outside of time that they use to store things in. So we know that in the Age of Legends, they were able to create what they call vacuoles, which were spaces outside of time where they used to do experiments. And when they went into them, they were able to create them however they wanted. So this ter'angreal could make a temporary vacuole or space outside of space and time that they can craft to look like however they want. So since Siuan was the first one to arrive there, she made it look like her childhood home. Because that's where she feels so comfortable.
And so if Moiraine got there first, it would have been like the royal library.
Or maybe just even Yeah, it could have been anything. Could have been in an inn, or the lawyer, her rooms in her palace, or maybe just Siuan's rooms.
Hmm.
She does say like she doesn't feel home even in the White Tower. Home was the
Right,
road.
almost
Home were
not.
these boots, the saddle, stuff like that.
Hmm. No, that's a good point.
Oh,
Yeah, I.
I just want to shout this out because it's pretty good.
Mhm.
Hunter Fox said, "What if Siuan and Moiraine are bonded, like bonded each other? That would be
That's
interesting.
possible.
Yeah, that would be really cool."
Or is there some sort of a bonding that goes on with the oath rod in this rendition? Like maybe
I
there's some
mean,
sort of way they can feel
yeah,
each other now, but they've sworn their oaths.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. So, what do
Because
you think?
we did speculate that maybe Logain was bonded to the king of uh
Absolutely, because especially because they snap to the King of Gelden like right when
Gildon,
Logain,
thank you.
yeah,
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, because he
when
knew they were coming somehow.
yeah. So he snaps. He also snaps the. We get an immediate reaction from the king when Logain gets attacked in the
Mhm.
in the cave. So like
Mhm.
that he was reacting to that. So
That's possible
he
too.
could have sensed him through the bond there.
Yeah. So I agree with you, Tom, that I don't think it took him to a physical place in the world.
Yeah.
Like there's no way these two random powerful women could be in a shack and tier
Yeah.
and be that vulnerable.
Yeah.
And then people around would be like, why are there random lights in that inn right now, or that shack?
Yeah.
Like it makes no sense. So yeah, I definitely think it's either Teleron or something like you said, the stasis box of vacuole, someplace out of time that is just for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Moiraine does have a picture like Siuan, Sid asked. Siuan does have a picture like Moiraine,
Yes.
which is what Sid
Yeah.
asked.
So
we do see it in her study when she meets
yeah,
with
so
the Green
Moraine's
Knight.
is a doorway with a woman looking out to another doorway, and then
Yeah.
Siuan's is a mountain, two mountains in the background, a little hill, and a river that goes around it. So they don't even look like they match, though.
Yeah, like it's not like the other side of the image of like the
Right.
woman staring. It's completely
Uh-huh.
different. Yeah.
So I really want more information about these ter'angreal. Like, are they a
Absolutely.
pair, or did they just somehow channel into them to make them a pair?
Or like are they part of these two rooms? Like did they come with these rooms essentially? Like these were things left behind? Or are they something that they found? Like there's
Mhm.
so much interesting story that
Mhm.
could happen with what this ter'angreal is that
Yeah.
I'm really interested in seeing that.
Right, Kitty, do you want to weigh in on what you think the ter'angreals are?
Oh, Connie said Suan's home is the river. And this is more of like a woman looking out over a balcony, could be in a palace. So that's
The palace, that's true.
yeah,
So just their true home or
yeah,
something like that.
like they're linked. Yeah. Anyway, we're
I
talking about what we think that those
agree.
ter'angreals do.
I do agree that it's not traveling, that it is going into someplace outside of time,
Yeah.
especially because why would Lan have to keep watch if Moiraine's physical body is not there?
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Well, he's keeping watch to make sure no one goes in there, and it's like, where the hell's
Yeah, but
Moiraine?
even if she wasn't there, like why would somebody break into her chambers in the middle of the night and then be weirded out that she's not there? She always disappears. So that would be the norm.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
true.
I think he's more worried of her essentially unconscious form because that's what happens when you're traveling with dreaming, right?
That's entirely possible. I don't think that's what it is, but that is entirely possible. Also,
Yeah,
You're-
I think
Okay.
we're still in the flesh.
the validity of your thing there, it completely matches is the validity of what I think. I think that she goes and physically enters it. Like I think it's like a vacuole or a stasis box because only because we have that already. Where the dream world is so different. Like if that's the dream world, then I don't like what they're doing with the dream world because nothing is shifting, nothing is changing.
That's true.
But they're both very strong-minded women. I think they could easily hold the place, especially Siuan with her ties to her.
It doesn't
childhood.
matter, but it doesn't matter how strong you are with your environment. Like small things in your environment change regardless of you. Like a cup on a table, a stack of papers, the bed being made, unmade, stuff like that. That shifts. That has nothing to do with you. That has to do with where you are physically at in the dream.
But you guys think it's outside of like the real world then where they're meeting?
Yes.
It might be.
And just for anyone who's just joining us now. Oh, by the way, we're Dragonmount.
Or Dragonmount.
Follow us on social media. Like and share. if you like what you're seeing.
Mhm.
So in the books, again, book canon, there are things called vacuoles, and we learn, again, this is through pieced together stuff throughout all of the books and interviews with Robert Jordan, that the vacuoles are literally tiny little bubbles that people during the Age of Legends and even before the Age of Legends created outside of the pattern but attached to the pattern, where inside of them time doesn't flow and you can't affect anything outside of them. So they talk about how they would do research with the one power inside of these vacuoles, so that if something happened, it wouldn't destroy everything. They also use them. They make a kind of vacuole as a stasis box, which are the stasis boxes that they find in the books that have like Samael finds one and it has like shock lances and light bulbs and works of art.
I see where you're going with this, but from an actual filming aspect, that's a lot to try to explain in something that's not guaranteed to go beyond 2 seasons.
Well, I mean, they already started laying the groundwork with the waves.
Yes, but that's something that a lot of people use just to travel, and if they're just going to bring a vacuole
it's just something existing outside of space and time. Like, oh, this is just a space that exists outside of space and time.
I think they just have a shack that's in the middle of nowhere that has been warded.
It's possible, but I feel like then that's just so cheap that's all they use it for. Like, I feel like these two powerful women with such a huge
maybe
quest,
it's their home. Like, that's their only...
Yeah, but like, then all they use, like, they have the ability to travel across the entire world at a step, and all they use it is for is a love shack.
But they're not traveling yet.
But that's what you're
saying. In the books, they don't have... Well, no, I guess that is what I'm saying, was traveling. That's why I'm saying, because in the books, they have not discovered or rediscovered traveling yet.
No, yeah, but the Terangri, you're saying the Terangri acts as a means to travel.
Potentially, I don't know, because we don't know what they're going to be bringing up. I guess that would be my thing. Either it's because we both see both of them have their selves are in this little like fishing place that Siuan, I'm assuming, made, because why would Moiraine know those details?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, like, I don't know, is it their physical bodies went, or is it just like their spirit is meeting?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we don't know. Obviously, we don't all agree, and it doesn't matter because we don't.
That's why we get to talk about it. We get to talk about it. We love time theories, and I'm sorry
because we have no idea. Maybe they are just going to have some sort of maybe it did come in from the tower. Maybe they found these two.
I just want to mention real quick how exciting it is to be able to theorize about new things about the wheel. Because it's fantastic. We weren't able to do that for so long because the books ended. Sid asked, "Is the Dark One's prison a sort of vacuole?" It could be. It could be. In the Age of Legends, the knowledge of what that was lost. It was a thing stored in a bubble that existed outside of the pattern. So absolutely could have been a vacuole.
So I'm going to take this box. I'm going to put it in another box.
Put it over there.
And I'm going to mail that box to myself. Sorry.
That's a vacuole. It's Schrodinger's box. That's what the vacuoles are.
Yeah, that's cute.
Whatchamacall? But I guess that's entirely possible that the Dark One's prison could have been a sort of vacuole, and it was sealed or created. Created by the creator at the moment of creation, the first vacuole. Prime says in the X-ray that it is a triangle that makes a gateway, and that this one is to Tyr. Oh, did we miss
I haven't caught up on the X-ray.
All we need to do is watch the X-rays, and then all the answers are there.
I guess I missed that.
On something.
Thank you. Who said that? Lisa.
Does this mean that I was right?
Lisa Barbs said that.
Oh my God, I'm right.
That's I stand corrected.
Yeah, definitely.
That is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really humble, you guys.
I feel like that's so meh, because like
I agree. That is
not bad.
Whoops.
Okay.
I don't know. I like it. It just because there are so much, like, from a show aspect, there's so much you can, like, we haven't even gone over Sidene and Saidar.
Yeah.
And they're gonna, like, there's
Yeah.
too much to bring in for something that we do not know is going beyond 2 seasons. Like, that's the thing. If we knew for a fact that we could have 12 seasons, they know what they can put in. But like, from an actual filmmaking point of view, you cannot overload your audience with information, because people don't watch shows like this for learning.
Yeah.
Like, it's, and like, so something that has already been, like, they already have the way gates, they already know how to travel, and like, maybe this could be, and I'm not going to say an anomaly to Terangriel, but it could be something like, we already know about the doorway that Moiraine and Lanfear go through. Like, this could just be another random Terangriel that does this, and that this isn't something that is common that people can do.
Yeah,
it could be just the picture frame.
Jump from
okay, all right. Correction.
Okay.
Oh,
so the trivia about this thing specifically says there are objects of the one power created for specific purposes. Some of these objects do very mundane things like play music or create fabric. So one thing, we know that there's a Terangriel that creates fan cloth, which are the warder's cloaks. Yes. So a little nod to that. While others act as doorways to different places, spaces, or experiences. So
there we go.
It's
I'm still right.
It's one or all of them, because it says places, spaces, or experiences. So this could just be an experience that the two of them are sharing in each other's
going back
minds.
to his childhood.
Yeah, there's all types
that is perfect.
Or it could be a space.
So cool, it doesn't answer the question at all.
Yay!
But yes.
But I'm still right.
Yes, you are. Headcanon, Kitty is right.
All right, so hold on. How about this? If they have Terangriel that they can use to visit each other, why doesn't Moiraine take the Terangriel with her when she goes?
Maybe it's just she feels like it's safest in the tower.
If I was not able to see my spouse for 2 years, I would take that Terangriel with me.
Yeah, I also don't have the self-control or determination or persistence that Moiraine has. So I don't know about you, but I certainly wouldn't be able to do any of the things that Moiraine does. Completely not even talking about the stuff with the one power.
So you're saying it's all business. She's business for 2 years.
Well, she puts the quest ahead of everything.
That's ridiculous.
She keeps the ring on. I think that's the way to say it, is she keeps the ring on.
Yeah.
This is to save the world. None of us are ever going to be in this situation. Like, it is not going to fall on us to find the
And I'm glad it doesn't, because I wouldn't. I'd be like, hey, babe.
I'd fail.
All right. That's my fanfic.
World's going to burn.
All 3 of us. We're saving the world.
All 3 of us. Oh, I'm totally down.
No.
I'll be the ditzy comedy relief.
But it's interesting because it also brings up, maybe it can't be moved, or maybe that's also a weird thing to carry with you when traveling, and that could be stolen. It could be damaged in water. Like, we still don't know what happens to her body when she uses it. Is it an actual physical transportation, or is it just like,
maybe
I think it is a major safety thing.
Maybe they need to be within a certain distance of each other.
That's also true.
Eugene Hubbs pointed out it's pretty freaking big and heavy, probably.
Yeah, like,
so.
I love my significant other, but like, traveling with something this big, I already think my cell phone's too big.
Yeah. Could you imagine carrying it while on, like, having to carry it? Like, physically?
I would put it on my lap on the saddle if it meant I could see my significant other.
That would also mean that's an easy thing to get rid of, because it'd be like, somebody's like, oh, she always travels with that. That's important. Let's destroy it.
Neither of us are as persistent or dedicated as Moiraine is.
There's no way I am.
Obviously.
I would have just bonded my husband and brought him with me.
Exactly. I wonder if that makes such a good thing that they could have done. Like, they could have bonded each other, but then we would get channeler on channeler bonding. Wow.
We don't, that's not book canon as of that point.
But a lot of people, a lot of thing isn't, a lot of stuff isn't. And we got a really cool, interesting stuff when we finally saw channeler on channeler bonding.
Yes. Sorry. I just,
with this? Oh yeah, because their novice quarters shared the holes in between the walls, and they would talk to each other. So
they might have.
Someone asked, are they replacing this as the holes in between the walls?
Oh! What about this? So we learned that Moiraine has a dog that would come to her bed every night.
Named
With
Jenny.
That is not her
massive
dog.
mirrors and
Ah!
go into her room as a dog.
Oh my god, I didn't think of that. That's amazing.
And that would be true. That's not her dog.
That's not my dog. That wasn't my dog.
not a dog.
Oh my god, I hate you. I hate you,
Lucy?
and that's fantastic.
Lucy, was that the dog's name?
Jenny.
Jenny. It was Jenny.
How basic. I love it.
Oh, that's amazing.
All right, Maureen, you win. You win
Sleep on
today.
Maureen's bed.
You win the internet for today, Maureen.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, and make it snuggle and just.
Oh my god, that's fantastic.
I mean, it's probably not, but you know what? We're going.
It is now. It is now.
It
Until
is
I
now.
hear otherwise, that's the truth. And I will
Totally is.
Too
push
bad,
it
Rafe.
everywhere.
We're right in the show now.
Yep. Yep. That's fantastic. That's so great.
Do we know if Rafe watches any of these?
I don't know.
These are really long.
Oh, speaking of really long, we'll get. We're
Holy
gonna get
shit.
To, yep, it's been an
Dang.
hour and a half or an hour and
All right.
45 minutes. So I want to mention real quick. A bunch of Wheel of Time content creators are doing a What-a-thon, which is 24 hours of streaming. We've shared on our social medias, I believe all of them. Specifically, we put it out on Twitter, and I think I linked it in the YouTube comments of this stream. I will be joining TWoTCast at 11 p.m. this evening, as will Alan Romanczuk.
Yay, I love Alan.
Our favorite romantic. Not really. I love Amy too.
Amy's amazing too.
It's a tough time to
You did
to
not
choose
just
a
say
favorite
that.
Yeah.
Amy's amazing.
Ooh.
That's his wife, by the way. So yeah, join us tonight. We're gonna be having some fun. We're gonna be doing Wheel of Time / Home Alone Jeopardy. That's what I've been told. But it is to benefit a cause, the Lightweaver Foundation, which is Brandon Sanderson's foundation dedicated to bringing food, clothing, shelter, and literacy to people in need of it. So consider donating. If not, just consider watching and sharing it around. And I guess that's all for today, folks. So thanks for hanging out.
Any final questions or thoughts?
Let's see. Sid caught my bondling. Bonding plus channeling. Bondling.
I love it.
That's great. That's going to be on a t-shirt. No other final questions.
Awesome.
So yeah, thanks everyone for joining. I'm Tom, and I'm joined here with Maureen and Kitty below me. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you guys next Saturday.